Idiocracy. They said, I know their fear is that my gods, they don't like the gods. They felt, hey, this guy would shake this assembly from the intelligence information they gave to the party.
That means you are not loyal.
In their own sense of loyalty, in their definition of loyalty. What is loyalty? My brother, loyalty has to do, see, first and foremost, you aspired to represent a certain interest which must be sacrosanct to you if you understand governance and new public management. So merit cannot be overemphasized and cannot be substituted and cannot be, how do I put it, changed for anything.
But the proponents of zoning have always argued that, look, it is a pacification process.
I agree.
If your area for now have not gotten it, it's only natural, according to them now, natural and morally right that we give it to that area.
Now, in total adherence and agreement to zoning, but before zoning, if it is zoned to you, you need to also look out for men of character. That's men with emotional intelligence, men with empathy, men that understand, that feels the people. You need to understand emotional intelligence first. Secondly, you must be a man of common sense, which I call empirical dialectics. It's only common sense that will tell you the sufferings of the people. It's only common sense that will tell you that, hey, I don't need evidence, right, to know a corrupt government. What do I need to do? A government that has mismanaged the affairs of the state at a given period, all you need to do is to look at their budget, evaluate the projects that has been done, and it's obvious. If it's got a responsive government, you know. If it's a government that is, bended at mismanaging public funds, you know. Now, let me narrow this thing down to Anambra State. Let me examine Anambra State for you.
Okay.
Why? Because our election is forthcoming, November 6th. June to July, first week of July, is the deadline for all party primaries in Anambra State. So, what are their strategies? And these are leaders. I asked a fundamental question in a critical stakeholders meeting in Anambra State. And look, we estrayed all the aspirants. And I said to them, you guys are not ashamed. You are parading men that are 60 years and above. When you have able-bodied young men sound, full of emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence, digitally inclined, seasoned men with scientific management skills, you want to shortchange them for this set of people that are 50 and above. And now ask a critical question. I said, all of you here, minus 1999, 23 years to how old you are now, you find out that they are not above 45 years. At the time they made Mbadinuju the governor, they're not 45. They were not even 50 years. The oldest among them at that point should be 50. But here we are, able-bodied young men, sound, researchers, intellectuals. In Anambra State, it's a very strategic state in the sense that, my brother, we have human capital. We have human capital.
Financial capital.
We have financial capital. We have all the necessary resources. If you check
the zoning still takes place.
Yes. As I speak to you, it has been narrowed down to Anambra South.
Who narrowed it?
The shadow stakeholders.
Who are the shadow stakeholders?
Okay. Shadow is shadow now.
No. Who are the shadows? Because if we have a system where I know I had cause to talk to Unwoye, and Unwoye had told me, that they're working hard. Willie Obiano is saying, look, he's going to give it to APGA. The PDP is already talking tough despite some division in the party. How come sometimes all of this group, without holding meeting, how do they do it? They won't hold meeting, but everyone will know that those people are aggrieved. They need governorship now.
Okay.
So we'll give it to them.
Now, zoning, remember, I said it's not totally out of place.
Okay.
I'm not against zoning. But what I'm saying is this. I know the importance of zoning. I know that zoning intends to accommodate diversity.
Fine.
It's about inclusion management. Hey, Anambra North had not tested that seat. Then there was a propagation.
That's the Onitsha area?
Yes. Onitsha, Anyamelum, Ibariam, you know, down to Aguleri, including where the governor is coming from, to Nsugbe, Onitsha, or Baru.
Okay.
You get all those local governments comprises to Anambra North. And it was towards the expiration of Governor Peter Obi's government. And at that point, they felt, okay, equity, let's zone to North. And it was agreed. And remember, these things are conventional issues, so it's not constitutional. No.
But there is no convention that decide, but somehow it just appears to be like an informal arrangement.
That is where the shadow stakeholders play the game now. Okay, for example, Governor Willie Obiano, in his wisdom, felt that Soludo is the best. And I agree that Soludo is a man of capacity. Right? But Soludo
is not above 60.
Soludo is above 60. Soludo, as at 1999, when he in his best, he was at our age. Between the ages of 40, 45, that was when he became the CBN governor. He wasn't 50 when he became the CBN governor. And at that point, Soludo would have gone straight global governance. We need to realize that, hey, your local government is 1, the state is 2, the federal government is the highest government at this level. But when you begin to think global governance, you begin to realize that the federal government is now a local government, African region becomes the state, and global, UN, becomes like the global and the highest stage of government. These are the places I expect Soludo to be, to toe the lines of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. That's where his mates are. That's where his class are. Not Anambra State. What's the total budget of Anambra State in a year? In the 8 years, how much is Anambra? What are we even fighting over? We need managers. We need men that have created something from the grassroots. We need men. Anambarian has squad. We have men.
But the zoning now is...
it still favors these sound men that I'm talking about. These are men that started business from crash, and
okay,
today they are running $100 million,
$200
$200 million turnover annually. These are men that have employed labor. These are men that have started something from crash, managed conglomerates.
Now, if we come back now to take a deeper look, while we still look at zoning, at every single point zoning is discussed, it appears as if some person somewhere pick from the region of pick interest. Anyone he is interested in. Sometimes it doesn't go with the will of the people. The other person who is agreeing to the zoning from whatever region. Look at 1999, for instance. How will you analyze where the whole Southwest don't want an Obasanjo, even to his ward in Otta, and yet the other blocks in the north and the southeast say they want Obasanjo, and even without votes coming from his area, he became president and commander-in-chief. Because the zoning was zoned to the southwest, that Abiola died, they are aggrieved, let's pacify them. Let's pacify them. Yeah. And in the pacification process, the choice of the other region was the one that the other regions pick, and not the choice of
the indigenous
region, which is Olufolaye as against Olusegun.
I get. Now, you see, that was a very critical period in the politics of this nation. And there is need for pacification, as you said. Okay. Now, look at the Southwest and the whole agitation against OBJ in 1999. Then check their agitation in 2003. Then you begin to see a region that is politically coordinated.
They moved.
They just have to. Naturally. PDP becomes an automatic candidate for the whole of Southwest. Abdul Kadri, for the first time, a Northerner became the national chairman of AD. So these are people that understand interest aggregation, interest articulation, and they decided, hey, okay, we just have to back.
But is it right when we zone for some powerful bloc to choose for the people that are to be rewarded by the zoning? Because we saw, even when power was being zoned in 2007, back to the north, we saw where maybe the presidency also picked Umaru Yar'Adua, may his soul rest in peace, and picked Ebele Jonathan to become his deputy, which the likes of Odile and others, who were the very popular frontliners, were dropped.
Well, at the time of that 27 election, I was actually at the forefront of Odile campaign organization. At that point, I was in University of Port Harcourt, and we were working with a gentleman we called Marshall Chukwu. He's the chairman. We call him Chairman Student Stakeholders Forum. Now, the passion, we followed, but towards the tail end, and you cannot separate the relationship at that time between OBJ, Odile, and Yar'Adua. But understand that Yar'Adua has a relationship period to Odile's surfacing in the scheme with OBJ.
Is his elder brother in the 70s?
There is a family relationship, and his love for the Yar'Adua Foundation, because he knows therein is capacity. He knows that he knows Yar'Adua was a man of capacity. He knows Yar'Adua, when you define a good man, it's a man of empathy. He's a leader. That's the only leader. That's the leader that came out to national television and told you that the electoral process that brought him in was faulty.
But in that instant, when we do zoning, why was the North not allowed to pick their candidate?
No, you see, party interest now. We'll get to that. That is the major problem in governance. And I put more of the blame to the people, the electorate. I ask you why. Ask me why.
Go ahead.
I am a classical example.
Okay.
You see, until we stop collecting 2,000 naira to vote,
bag of salt and wrapper, until we begin to think, we begin to reason, men of concept, men of idea, men of innovation, to paddle the affairs of our system, we need administrators. We need to separate politics from administration. There is a total dichotomy that should be there. It was done in America during the government of Woodrow Wilson. Go back to that study. Administrative principles. He looked at the system and he said, oh, this system it's a spoiled system. Mind you, if you do a comparative analysis of American system and Nigerian system, you will begin to realize that once upon a time, America was in a worse situation than we are, when we even had a better administrative system. Okay. It was called the spoiled system. And up until 1978, 79, they now got it right. You get? So, at that point, zoning, even job was based on party affiliation. But we need to begin to think as good men. We need to also know how best to propagate the interests of the masses. How best to articulate those interests. You see, agenda setting, it's one tool that politicians had always used. Through ethnicity and religion. They just come cajole the people. You know, they are sweet talkers. They cajole the people, they bring out money, they share. And the people are so myopic because they are hungry. So they sell their birthright like Esau. And today, they come back to say the government is not performing. When the government has spent over 3, 4, 5, 6 billion naira to get itself inside the system, they must recover now. There must be a return in investment. So the people actually are the human resource managers in this case. Okay.
Yes. Look at social contract theory. It's simply because men are overpowering men that men came together, empower some men, say, okay, go help us control this whole system. That's what governance is all about. So we need to begin to realize that in